Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Texan News Scoop, your week in review for this week's top stories from the campus, region, and beyond. Today is July 30th, 2015. I'm Clifford Jones.
And I'm Harley Brown. Today's headlines. Tarleton's decision to go D1 continues. The Stephenville Yellow Jackets look to start the 2015 season. The California National Guard uses a drone to search for a missing teacher. And the International Olympic Committee responds to water investigation. In campus news, Tarleton is still facing the long-awaited decision to go Division I. I had a chance to interview President Dr. DeTavio to discuss the situation. Good afternoon, Texans. I'm Harley Brown with Texan News Service, and today I'm sitting down with President Dr. Dominic DeTavio to discuss the possibility of Tarleton becoming a Division I university. Dr. DeTavio, thank you so much for coming in today.
My pleasure, Harley. Thank you.
All right, well, just to get things started, is this the first time since you've been president of Tarleton that there's been talk of going Division I?
No, actually, when I arrived in 2008, there was some conversation taking place about Division I. And part of that is because the conversation about whether or not Tarleton should make a change really took place back in the early 2000s. And actually, I believe there was a formal proposal submitted in 2003, I believe. Okay. So it's a topic that's been around for many years and certainly predated me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so could you take us through the process that it takes to become a Division I university? I know it starts with receiving a bid from the conference,
right,
and then you have to submit an application. Just kind of clarify that for
yeah,
us.
Well, and that really is the most important thing, because unless you have a bid from a Division I conference, there's not a lot that you can do, because it is at their invitation that you would become a Division I university, and then approved by the NCAA as well. But one of the things that any university that is considering this would do is they would do an internal assessment, a self-study essentially, of whether or not we feel that we're prepared and capable of making that kind of a jump. And so that's an important first step. And we've in fact done that. We've conducted a pretty thorough analysis of our sports programs, how our facilities align with other Division I universities, and a variety of things like that. And so if indeed we received a bid from Division I, we would have, I believe, adequate documentation of where we are relative to other universities.
Absolutely.
And then if we received a bid, then at that point in time we would submit a proposal to a conference identifying what it is that we bring to the conference. And if indeed they want to go forward with it, then we would be on probation for 4 years.
Okay.
And that's an important component, and it raises a lot of other questions as to whether or not you want to do it or not.
Okay, absolutely. So would you say that we're currently in this process, we're kind of just like in the preparation period to receive a bid?
I think that's a good way to describe it,
Okay.
Harley. We, in addition to doing the self-study, we also have had a variety of meetings on campus, open forums with faculty, staff, and students, okay, to identify pros and cons and to see how people feel about the idea of making a switch.
Okay, cool. All right, now do you think going Division I, if given the chance, is in the best interest of Tarleton?
Obviously, we would not be talking about it if we didn't think there were some real upsides to it and would possibly bring some real advantages to us. And because of that, yes, I think there are those real positives. At the same time, there are some reasons why we wouldn't want to do it, and that's the reason why we've had the open forums, we've done the analysis to gather as much information as we can about whether or not this is really something we should or want to do.
Okay. Now, in what way would the students of Tarleton, rather than just the athletes, be most affected by becoming a Division I university?
Yeah, great question. One of the things I think everybody has to recognize is athletic programs at universities help to define who you are. It helps to raise the spirit. It helps to raise the profile. Many people talk about athletics being the front porch to a university. It provides higher competitive levels, provide the opportunity for people to become more engaged, to feel better about who they are. But then one of the subtle things about this, and most people don't understand that, is that it does indeed tend to raise the academic profile of the university as well, and consequently, by raising the academic profile, it makes the Tarleton degree all the more powerful for the students and for future employers.
All right. Now, how much should students expect tuition and fees to increase if we were to make this move?
Yeah, we would hope that we would not need to deal with tuition and fee increases specific to athletics or Division I anytime in the near future. The primary ways that we would have to look at having enough dollars to make it feasible would be through growth. You know, Tarleton has been growing very rapidly, and with growth comes additional income streams. And then we probably would have to look at some operational redistribution, because anytime you're talking about an increase of the magnitude that we talk about for this shift, it's about $4 million is what we think. We would have to look at how it is that you make some decisions on this program's receiving this money now, this program doesn't receive that money now.
Kind of relocating some funds.
So you'd have to do some of that. But two, I mentioned you're in a 4-year probation period if you're accepted. And so what that would primarily mean is that we would look at how it is that you grow into that larger budget over a period of years. And for us, having the opportunity to grow into it over time would be one of the most important ways we would accomplish that.
And I know Coach Reisman had spoken, when I spoke with Coach Reisman, he had mentioned that he's already working on that budget to figure out how it, by the 4th year, we can make it to, or have the proper funding by that 4th year to make sure that it's not like a struggle for us or anything like that.
Right. And I think that having a plan like that is critically important, because I want our finance folks to look at it, our CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and make sure he agrees with what it is that the coach is projecting, and that the two of them really have a proposal that they both feel very good about.
All right. Now, I know we kind of just touched on this. I know we both said that we need an additional $4 million to meet the average athletic budget for the Southland Conference, which is the conference that has been talked about the most for us to join. So how would we find the funding for that?
Well, it's exactly what we were just talking about. Primarily through growth is what we would look at. Okay. And having the opportunity to do that over that 4-year period of time would allow our growth to catch up, because with growth you have additional tuition and fee revenue. And then we would have to look at some redistribution of operation dollars of some kind.
Okay, now would you say that the athletic boosters through Texan Club would help us raise money? Would we start charging more for ticket sales, parking, or anything like that?
That's a great point. Thank you for reminding me of
welcome.
that, because normally what happens when universities do go to Division I, they do see an increase in donations into the athletic program. And so our expectation would be that in addition to having to deal with what we have internally, we would hope that we would get some external funding increases as well.
And, okay, perfect.
And I think the coach is beginning to talk about charging for outside folks to pay for parking, possibly even this year
and I know
at football games.
Oh, and I know that would bring in a lot of money. We have a ton of people attending the basketball and football and all sporting events.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Did you have something you want to add?
No.
Okay, so say if Tarleton were to become a Division I university, would we plan to add any sports?
There is a conversation about that. We have the number of sports required to be in division now. We have 14 NCAA sanctioned sports. That happened when we added indoor track and field for men and women, I think 2 years ago. And so we would not have to, but as part of trying to assure that we really have all the markers of a very successful Division I program, we probably would look at the possibility of adding another female sport.
Cool. All right. Now, how do you plan to accommodate for this growing university, especially if we were Division I? I know right now we're having a bit of trouble with the parking situation as a Division II university.
Right.
So how would we accommodate for this growing university?
Well, growth is something that we have to figure out. Whether or not we're Division I or Division II, simply because we have a very constricted land base here, because we're surrounded, as you know, by neighborhoods and businesses and things of that nature. So we've developed a 2020 plan, a development plan, that helps us identify where the best locations are for parking, for new buildings, and a variety of things like that, athletic fields, intramural fields. And what we have to do is work that plan. And if you walk around campus right now, you'll see that we have about 1,000 new parking spaces that are going to be in place for this fall.
All right.
North, south, south side, east, and west, there are new parking lots going up.
Parking all over?
In fact, they're striping, I think, about 400 or 500 today as we speak.
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
Good timing.
So I think as students come back, they're going to find a lot more parking. And our biggest challenge going forward, I think, is going to be more finding places where we should put new academic buildings.
And expand, All right. Well, can we expect any more open forums to happen? I know we had a couple last semester that was open to the public and the students to kind of give their input on the Division I movement. Can we expect more of those?
We don't have any planned at this moment in time. I would say that if we receive a bid or an invitation to submit, that it probably would be a good time to go ahead and do that again.
All right.
To see if there are additional questions, if it becomes more of a reality than it was when we first had the conversations.
All right. Dr. Ottavio, thank you so much for joining us today. Back to you, Katie.
In local news, the 2015 football season is fast approaching, and with it, an unfamiliar-looking Yellow Jackets group. The Stephenville Yellow Jackets will enter the new season unranked after making it to the quarterfinals in 2014. Joseph Gillespie, who coached the Jackets through 6 playoff runs and 1 state championship, and is now coaching at Tulsa, Oklahoma, is being replaced by Stephenville native Alan Hare. Quarterback Jarrett Stidham, who graduated and joined the Baylor football program, will be replaced by sophomore Easton Jones. The concern from many Stephenville fans, however, is who will replace running back Keegan Williams. Williams, who has been a starter since his freshman year, transferred to Cedar Hill High School in Dallas for the upcoming season. Williams scored 29 touchdowns and ran for 2,800 yards in 2014. Two-a-day starts Monday, and Jacket fans are anxious to see how their team will adjust to the changes.
In national news, according to the Associated Press, the California National Guard is using a drone to search for El Dorado National Forest for a missing San Francisco teacher, marking the first time the Guard has used an unmanned aircraft for a search and rescue mission. The drone will collect images in real time, allowing searchers on the ground to make faster and more informed decisions about where to concentrate their efforts. The Guard previously used the drone to support firefighting efforts in 2013 at Yosemite National Park. The search for Edward Kavanaugh has intensified in the 12 days since he went missing. Kavanaugh, a California teacher, was last seen July 17th driving a motorcycle on a trail through El Dorado County, about 3 hours east of the San Francisco Bay Area. The drone has yet to provide any new leads in Kavanaugh's disappearance. Officials have gathered more than 50 volunteers to help sweep El Dorado and neighboring counties by foot, car, and helicopter.
In international news, according to the Associated Press, the International Olympic Committee and the Rio Olympic Organization Committee officials said Thursday that they will not give up on Guanabara Bay as a competition venue.
We've got to hold things in perspective. Now, that's not to say we're at all complacent, and a huge amount of work is being done. The monitoring is, as I say, twice a week, and it'll be increased to every 2 days during the test event. So this is being taken extremely seriously because athlete health is extremely important. We will monitor the athlete's health, but we're doing everything we can and following all the expert advice to make sure that there is no increase in risk for the athletes and their health is protected.
We believe that we should not and we will not give up on the Guanabara Bay. One of the bigger legacies of these games is going to be the society, the world, pushing Brazilian authorities to clean the bay. So we have to hold on the pressure. We have to clean as much as we can now. We have to make sure that the competition areas are totally safe. But we need to be there. We need to make sure all this movement, all this knowledge helps the bay to be cleaned.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Texan News Scoop, a product of Texan News Service from the Tarleton State Campus in Stephenville, Texas. Today's show was produced by Justin Pack, Denise Haroff, and Katie Tonkin. I'm Harley Brown.
And I'm Clifford Jones. Have a great week.